Hey there, let me hit you with a question. What would your business look like if money was never the problem? I'm talking no banks, no hard money lenders, no begging, just people writing you checks to fund your deals. Yeah, sound too good to be true, right? Well, today I've got someone here on the show with me who's made that his reality. Brandon Richards, my guest, is a real estate investor who's raised over $15 million in private money. Yes, that's $15 million without going to a bank. And in this episode, he's not holding anything back. You'll hear exactly how he did it, what he said, who he said it to, how he structured the deals, everything. We're also going to dig into how he scaled his business, runs multiple companies, and still finds time to lead humanitarian work all around the world. So, if you're new or a hungry real estate investor and you're tired of spinning your wheels trying to get funding, this episode is your shortcut. Well, welcome to Raising Private Money Show, the only podcast for real estate investors who want to fund their deals without relying on banks or credit or using their own cash. I'm Jay Connor, the Private Money Authority, and I'll show you how to get private lenders begging to fund your next deal, because every deal starts with the money. You're going to meet Brandon right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
Well, Brandon, welcome to Raising Private Money.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for having me on your show not too long ago. Let's go back to the beginning, Brandon. What was it that happened in your business to where you actually realized there had to be a better way to fund your deals than, say, institutional money? How did this world of private money even open up for you?
For me, frankly, I got lucky right out the gate. My very first deal was a wholesale that I had sold that contract to a friend of mine who happened to be a hard money lender. And so out the gate, although not private money in nature, it was much easier than any form of institutional capital. So I got lucky right away, honestly. And it wasn't until a couple of years in that I started to meet ordinary people who had, high paying 9-to-5s that had some cash laying around either in the bank or an IRA. But yeah, again, I just got lucky, and organizing and going through that transaction of the proper documentation made it easy for me to have that conversation when I went to the first private lender to get that private financing. But so one of the things I hear a lot about private money, or even hard money, is, well, why would you pay such high interest? And I always respond is like, why risk losing deals because you can only transact either one or two with your own capital, or one or two bank loans, when you can pay just a little bit higher in interest and get multiple deals going at once. And that's when I really learned to lean into the private financing and get multiple deals going and really start to grow when I started my business back in Texas.
Well, and that's the same thing for me, Brandon. Of course, I've been paying my private lenders 8% ever since February of 2009, even with all the ups and downs in the market. But as you just alluded to, the access to the funding is so much more important than what the actual, interest rate it is that you pay.
Right.
Now, if you can think back, do you remember what year you started using actual private money? I mean, getting money from just ordinary people?
It would have been around 2018, maybe.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
if you can think back to that first private money deal or that private money lender,
Mhm.
how did you even know how or where to start? having that kind of a conversation with an individual?
Oh, shoot. Let me think of who that was. I'm not positive who it was. But again, that conversation, although fairly nerve-wracking, it was simplistic in nature, simply because I had done enough deals by then that I knew how these types of properties were financed, and so I knew the proper documentation, the proper time frame, the proper escrow and title companies that had attorneys on staff to draft those promissory notes and deeds of trust for us in case there was something additional that needed to be added to the promissory note. But overall, I had been doing enough, either YouTube University or just enough transactions with enough people that were willing to offer up knowledge that I was able to, I guess, struggle my way through those conversations and get the first couple of deals going. And now a couple of my lenders, they're just a text away. I just say, hey, here's the deal. We're closing on this time frame or on this date. And if you want in, you're in. So a lot has changed in the past 6 years since I first started.
Well, it's been my experience after I have a new private lender. And just to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about, when we're talking private lenders, we're not talking institutional money, banks, hard money lenders. We're talking about doing business with regular, ordinary people just like us that are loaning us money on our real estate deals, either from their investment capital and or from their retirement funds. And, we will have introduced them to a self-directed IRA company. I got 47 private lenders, Brandon. And what's funny is not one of them ever heard of private money, this world of private money, or self-directed IRAs until, I put on my teacher hat
Mm-hmm.
and I started teaching them, what this was all about. So when and you'll have to think back because one thing you just said triggered this in my mind. After you've done a couple of deals or after a private lender has funded a couple of deals, pretty much all they want to know is how much do you need and when do you need it?
Yeah. And when's the next one? Yeah.
And when you go to pay them off, have you ever had them ask you, can't you just keep the money?
Yeah, plenty of times. Yeah, several lenders like, I don't want any more short-term deals at all. Just get me in something long-term.
That's right. That's right. So going back to those first deals that you did with private lenders, do you remember how you started conversations? Well, let me ask a better question today, because you probably do things different today than you did in 2019. But if you're beginning a conversation with a potential private lender, how would that conversation be started? How would you approach the subject?
Mm-hmm. Most of them want to know, how do you mitigate their risk? And I try to put it in layman terms. Basically, I treat the conversation as if they've never borrowed or lent money ever, but I know that they have probably bought a house. And so I have them imagine themselves being, say, Chase Bank. You're now the bank. You're getting all of the same documentation, the same security documents that Chase would require. And that would be a deed of trust or a mortgage in some states, and then a promissory note. And I mean, it's literally as simple as that. A lot of people get wrapped up on the documents, and it's just not something that should be stressed about, because title and escrow or in attorney states, they're going to look over everything and make sure everything's kosher. And of course, my lenders, depending on or outside from a couple of deals, are all first lien positions. So they have that security there, and they have the right and ability to foreclose if need be, if some form of default happened.
And so you mentioned a moment ago a deed of trust. Of course, North Carolina is a deed of trust state. Texas is a deed of trust state.
Yep.
As you mentioned, most people call it a mortgage. Most states call it a mortgage. But in other words, you, like myself, we're not borrowing unsecured money. They're not just getting a promissory note from us, but you are actually collateralizing that note with the property. You're backing that note by the real estate. that you're using the money for. And so, as you said, if you don't pay them, the property does, right?
Oh, there you are.
Yep, you're back.
Okay. I can't tell if it's my signal or not, but sorry. So
Yeah, that's right.
deed of
So,
trust. Yep.
yeah, the deed of so tell everybody, how does the deed of trust work? And primarily, what type of real estate are you using private money for?
My business model has changed. So now I do primarily land, but that deed of trust is what is recorded with your local municipality, whether that's a borough, a county. It's all recorded there, and that's their security instrument, as well as the escrow title company that is transacting will, of course, have that on file. But when I first started, it was all flips. I used to flip a considerable amount of properties. And now my business has changed over to land. So I do almost exclusively land deals. And so I'll find properties that are near recreational national parks. And then I'll sell those to retail end buyers on terms, meaning I'll owner finance that to them. And then if I have a private lender in there, whether or not the conversation was short or long term, either the end buyer's down payment will cover and clear that underlying note, or I like to wrap private loans to the end buyer, so that way I have no capital into the transaction as well.
That makes sense. So let's talk about finding the right people, finding the right private lenders. Where are your private lenders coming from? Are you finding them at events, online, your own network? What works best? That's one of the most common questions I get is, where do you find these people?
It's a mix of roughly two things. I do go to a lot of events, and so I have some of my longest standing lenders have been from some events I went to way back in the day. And then I get a lot of incoming messages from Facebook just by people seeing my content online and seeing what I'm doing, and they want to know how they're being financed or how they can be a part of it or whatever it is. But and I'm not even posting content necessarily asking for money. I'm just showing everybody what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and how frequently and this and that. And organically, people just end up reaching out.
So it sounds to me like you are attracting the money and not chasing the money.
Correct. Yeah. Which is,
And
in my opinion, much easier because I'm not very good at cold outreach at all.
well, and it's no fun, right? You know, by raising private money the way you do it, the way I do it, there's no chasing, no begging, no selling, no persuading. We're attracting it. So you are attracting it. It sounds a lot by leveraging your social media. So let's dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
What is it that you share on social media as to what you're doing that gets people asking questions and gets their curiosity and their interest up?
Sorry, I have a spider crawling on me.
Oh, my land, don't let the spider get you.
No, I mean, I'm in Alaska, so there's critters everywhere. And so in regards to social media, I do a lot of selfie type, quote unquote, vlogs, let's say, short clips. So if I'm visiting a new project or a new parcel, I'll walk around it, show, depending on how long it is, how the lead came in, what I plan to do with it, what are the pros and cons, whether or not I plan to make an offer, this and that. And just basically tell people what I'm doing. In a non-organized manner. I don't say I'm going to go post at least 1 or 2 videos a day. It's just kind of as I'm going about my business. I'll just do some short clips while I'm there and then post them, and it's about as easy as that. I'm not. I don't have some grand structured social media schedule or whatever. It's just I post as I feel like it, really.
Sure. Do you have any type of call to action or invitation on people on your social to direct message you or anything?
No, I've thought about it, but I also run a software company that has taken precedence over that particular part of my business. And so when I post, I need to backpedal a little bit. So my videos that I do on site are irregular. They're just as I get to projects, like I said. But daily, I do post reels from podcasts like this or a guest on my podcast, and I do have a call to action on that. But it's call to action to my software company and not for people to reach out to me for private lending. And I've thought about ways to try to do 2 calls to action, but I don't think it works. And so Deal Manager Pro is kind of taking precedence in that regards.
Sure. My favorite call to action, like if I'm on site, I'm at a property. Of course, I'm going to share the math. I got this house under contract for X,
Right.
and then I'll say something to the effect, and one of my private lenders loaned X number of dollars, which isn't more than 75% of the after repaired value. My anticipated seller price is going to be X.
Right.
And then I wrap up with something like, if you want to talk money, DM me. And that's about as vague as you can get, right? But everybody likes to talk money, right?
But it works. Yeah, it does work.
And so that's a call to action that I've used in some cases. But yeah, I mean, when you're doing that type of social posting, you sort of got like your own little reality show. Instead of HGTV, it's the Brandon Richards show.
Right. Yeah.
And people love seeing that stuff. They love seeing that stuff. Now you mentioned your software company. Tell everybody about your software company and what you're excited about and what you got going on over there.
Yeah. So early last year, about springtime, May-ish, I can't remember now, we bought the Real Estate Investor CRM Deal Manager Pro. And we've spent considerable time and money not only fixing a couple bugs that were in the system, but primarily just updating its interface and how the user or real estate investor interacts with it. And so it's just as any other CRM at the core, but we have a lot of things that the other companies don't have. We've got nationwide comps. We have a direct mail component with one of our partners at Print Genie. We can provide proof of funds and financing through one of our other partners, Art Capital, as well as we have all kinds of partnerships coming in, but we are about to launch our automations. So soon enough, let's say you got a call with Miss Smith and but she's not ready to sell. So we have automations in there to where you hang up the phone with Miss Smith, you go into that section of the contact, and you will set up the automatic text or email follow-up. So that way your follow-up system is automated. You don't have to remember or make note, set up a calendar invite, whatever you do to remind yourself to follow up with somebody, it does it automatically now. We've got skip tracing within the Print Genie, but we're working on our own skip tracing service within there. And we'll be providing skip tracing at probably 7 to 8 cents per skip. And just got tons of other stuff. We have a rehab calculator in there. So if you've got a team analyzing your deals, or you like to have a structured PDF for your rehab to present to your private lenders, you can go into a full in-depth price per linear foot on baseboards, the whole works, and have a very detailed rehab budget to provide to them, as well as a deal analyzer. And so if you've got a deal that you're kind of on the fence of whether or not you want to BRRRR or wholesale or hotel or whatever it is, if you input all of your comps, your taxes, the interest, your soft and hard expenses, it'll spit out your net gross profit. And then based off the algorithms, it'll tell you whether this is ideal for a flip or a wholesale or BRRRR or whatever it ends up being. But it'll tell you, again, based off of our algorithms. And there's just tons of other things. But more of the story, I was burning through leads and they were just going into an Excel sheet for years. And my VA team was managing that, and it just became a burden. Anytime I had to ask about a certain customer, they'd have to go back through emails or Excel sheets and look for a certain color that they coded on that lead and this and that. And so I was like, dude, I got to figure something else out. And it just happened to be about the time that this company came available, and it just made sense to buy the company and offer it to everybody else around me.
Man, that sounds like a really, really robust system that really kicks in the automation. And as you said, you don't have to remember anything. You got all the notes and about conversations that you've had with sellers. So how can real estate investors learn about this?
Well, obviously, I'm happy to do a demo, but if you just head over to dealmanagerpro.com. You got that there on the screen. Thank you. Yeah, it's www.dealmanagerpro.com. And we've got some small clips on there about like a mini demo on site that you can take a look at, as well as everything else you can need. Just message me through there, I guess.
Okay, so that's www.dealmanagerpro, DEAL, Manager Pro, just like it sounds.
Yep.
Well, that's great. That sounds really exciting. I can tell you're passionate about it, Richard. So let me ask you this. So scaling up, you haven't raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in private money. You've raised millions in private money. So after your first couple of deals, how did you go scale? How did you go from raising hundreds of thousands of dollars in private money to millions? Was there a mindset that had to change? Was there a logistical way of doing business that had to change? How did you scale that?
It was a business / mindset change. But mostly I had to figure out, well, if I can get the money to come, how do I ensure that the deal flow stays moving? Because a lot of investors, when they're starting to flip properties, they're either in the property themselves every day, or they're hiring the wrong people, or they still haven't figured out their systems on keeping the deal flow going. And so before I really scaled up the raising part of it, I had to figure out how to get myself out of the houses, how I need to stop putting in baseboards and painting and flooring. And so I went through tons of contractors just like everybody else, and I finally found one that I could trust to be on site without me basically holding their hand. And we would do a pre-project analysis on what needed to be done and my expectations with a known fluff factor of what could happen. And it just, honestly, that connection, I don't know where it came from, but dude, he was just a blessing. He would bring his kids into work, which was fine by me. He was insured, I was insured, but he showed up every single day. And so once I knew that the project could keep going and he had enough contacts to grow with me, we just started buying more and more properties. And thankfully, again, I just met the right people at the right time. It wasn't too difficult to go from one flip every quarter to 6 to 15 projects at a time within, I don't know, it's probably like a 6 to 9 month span where I was able to get multiple projects going.
Well, man, you nailed it on the head right there. Your team either makes you or your team breaks you. That's for sure. Well, this is one of my favorite questions for someone that's had experience like you have. And that is, as you look back after raising over $15 million in private money, what's one thing you wish you had done differently from the start?
Probably went straight into land, honestly. Land and notes. Way back in the day, I was a part of a group that I think there was a couple people in there that had dabbled in land, but the conversation of notes always came up. And at the time, didn't feel like I was knowledgeable enough. Something about it scared me. There was nothing, I don't know, something about owning the real estate itself kept me from creating and buying notes. So if I could turn back the hands of time, I would start buying land right away and creating those notes for a land portfolio versus waiting so long to get into the passive game, I suppose.
And what do you like so much better about the land and notes business?
Well, I've owned a considerable amount of rental properties in the past, duplexes, triplexes, small apartments, storage buildings, even. And even the storage, there's always something going on. It's just like, what's next? Either my dumpsters on my fire, an oak tree falls on the apartments, there's a drug deal, or, whatever it is. It's like, golly, that's enough is enough. And so with land, I mean, they could torch it, I guess, or dig a giant hole. I don't know, but there's not many things that can go wrong in the land investing business. If you are in, okay, let me backpedal because there's plenty that can go wrong, especially when you're subdividing and doing all that. But for me and my business, when I'm buying a single parcel, selling it to a single retail individual, it's easy-ish. And if I create the note and I'm the bank, if there's a problem, it's their problem, unless they're defaulting. And then if it's my problem, then I just go through the process of foreclosure or forbearance or whatever I decide. But to me, it's the ease and less headache, basically.
Right. So the land that you're finding,
Mhm.
who is your end buyer? Is it people that's going to build a house on it, or is it commercial, or what?
To be frank, it's a little bit all of it. I do some wholesaling of infill development lots for builder friends of mine. But my favorite strategy, or niche, I should say, is selling to a retail buyer, the average Joe, who wants a second staycation type of home. This is somebody that either lives in a major city or in somewhere that's too hot and they want somewhere cold to go, whatever this case is. But I also want it to be in an area and a price point that isn't, they don't have now intentions of building anything. I want them to say that they want to park an RV, they want to put a small campfire or a tent or whatever it is, because if they go to build and they have to pay me off because their lender isn't going to take second lien position. So I want people that want to carry and take this note to its maturity, whether that's 3 or 15 years or whatever it is. So that's my ideal lot. I look for lakes, national forests, anything that's around like staycation type areas. And I sell to somebody that wants to go hunting, fishing, or family time.
And then how do you find your buyer?
MLS and Facebook. My last one I sold on Facebook, actually. So
Wow. So
yeah,
you'll list it,
yeah,
you'll offer in the listing owner financing, I
correct.
suppose.
Yep, yeah,
And then on Facebook, social media.
yeah.
Well, that's fascinating.
Mhm.
Fascinating, Rich. Well, Brandon, wow. I've enjoyed having you on the show. Parting comments, and one more time, let everybody know how to get up with you and your software company.
Yeah, you can just head on over to dealmanagerpro.com. And if you want to find me, ask me any random question, you can find me on Facebook. Just search Brandon Richards. And I haven't finished my website, but I just released my book on land investing. It's basically the blueprint of A to Z to getting into land investing, where I show you or walk you through basically how to find the list, skip trace the list, mail the list, get the contracts, wholesale documents, like the entire works, how to find the right title company to create the owner finance notes if you want to do that, who to talk to if you want to get into subdividing and land division. All of it is in my book. It's just shy of 100 pages. It's called Dirty Money. When in Dirty Money, why land investing is the best kept secret in real estate. And that's on Amazon. So you can either find me on Facebook or inquire anywhere else, basically.
Well, I must say, the title Dirty Money is going to get a lot of attention for
I
sure.
know. Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Brandon, thank you so much.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks for having
All
me
right.
on.
You got it. Well, there you have it. Another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. And I need your help for me to continue to have amazing guests like you saw today on today's show. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, be sure and ring that bell so you don't miss out. And whatever podcast platform you are listening on, be sure and give me a 5-star rating and a great review, and we'll keep bringing great people back just like Brandon. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Raising Private Money.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.